Right, in this part of the show, we give you a view of what's happening on the African continent. We go into the leading headlines across the continent. Ethiopia's general elections have been postponed again and given a new date, this time the June 21st. This will be a key test of democratic reforms under Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, who in 2018 promised to organize the most democratic elections Ethiopia has ever seen. Now, Africa's second most popular country was first due to hold the polls last August, but officials pushed them to June 5th of this year because of the coronavirus pandemic and other logistical obstacles. To speak to us more about this, we're joined now by Pan-Africanist scholar and academic researcher at the Tshwane University of Technology, Professor Mammo Muchie. Professor Muchie, very good morning to you. Thank you for your time. More delays, tensions, and a lot focusing on Ethiopia as there is another delay in elections. We know that initially August 2020 was set to be the national vote and suspended because of COVID-19, but Tigray's regional government held elections in September anyway, irrespective of that ban. Bring us up to speed with the latest developments since that move.
Thank you very much for focusing on different parts of Africa, which is very good, not just focusing on South Africa. I think we should focus always on how to solve African problems. It's a general issue in Africa we have. We don't do proper elections, except in a very few countries, states in Africa. And in Ethiopia, as you know, we have not done proper elections. We used to have an imperial system. There was no proper election at that time. And then we had the military government under Mengistu. No, again, there was no. Then we had the ethnic system that was run for 27 years under the Tigray People's Liberation Front. There was no proper election, again, done. Now, when the new government came, everyone was fascinated because all the forces were fighting each other. All of them were allowed to come to the country, to enter. A peaceful, stable environment was expected to be done. And then legal elections, proper democratic processes, all of them were expected to be done. Now, two challenges came. Challenge one, this coronavirus situation came, so it did affect how we do things. We do many things virtually, including ourselves, our teaching, we do virtually. And so everything is not done properly. That has been an impact. And as you rightly put it, the Tigray People's Liberation Front, acted politically instead of taking this challenge also and then doing the election together. The government postponed it. Then what happened? The other political problem came, which means the political problem, the ethnic divisions, the killings, the murders, you would not believe, everywhere. And then later the war came between Tigray and the federal government, even saying that the Eritreans got involved. With all these challenges, you see, what happened is the process is very complicated now. That process of now to find a purely legal and very legitimate election in a situation where you have all these conflicts going on, how is it going to happen? Very, very, very difficult. So the problem they have now is a technical problem they have is, one, even when they do registering, they cannot register properly in all the places because this conflict situation is taking place. And many, many things can happen. Some people can even they can do very strange things, like they can change their names, they can do many, all these fraudulent behaviors can also be done. So they need to check everything accurately. To do that, it takes time. What we were told was we have about how many? Nearly 110 million people. And then the people that registered for the election were very low, over less than 30 million people registered all over the country. And so there was a real challenge to even make it legitimate, because if most of the people who are supposed to elect are not registered and entering, then they can't. That's what we heard from the Burtukan Medeksa, the lady who is now running the electoral body. They said that because of this, they need to delay it to make sure that all the registration is properly done. The other big problem they have is also because in the different conflict areas, remember where the killings have been happening, Benishangul, Metekel, Welega, in the Tigray area and all this, it's not easy to run elections. It's very, very difficult to do it. So I think the problem is in Africa we have a real challenge. How do we really create good governance systems, good institutions, yeah? And I think quality leadership, how do we do this is very, very, very a challenge. And we still are having a big problem in Ethiopia. We never had any election that is really fair, legitimate, and following the rules that those who lost and those who gain all accept that that it's a legitimate election. Something like that has not happened in Ethiopia from the experience I had over so many years since I have seen the politics running in Ethiopia.
Professor Muchie, if you'll allow me, pardon me, the logistical woes are essentially the major delay as you and I speak of these elections. But we know that, as you mentioned, history has taught us that ethnic clashes have also been a major contributor. We know that ethnic violence was a massive and deadly affair. For instance, Metekel has seen a number of deadly clashes blamed on the ethnic tensions, with more than 200 people being killed in December already. Exactly how deep do these clashes go, and who exactly forms part of those tensions?
That's a very important issue. The key thing, to be honest with you, that the government must do is not really go for election now. The most important thing they should do is really make sure that the killing stops. The rule of law is observed. That from this ethnic cleansing that's going on, we should really get out of it. And that, unless, I don't know how the election can go as the ethnic cleansing goes on at the same time. The two cannot go together. You cannot do the ethnic cleansing and these people their children and their parents and everybody is dying, and then at the same time ask them to vote for a leader or something like that, for a person who wants to be elected. No, it can't go like that. The ethnic cleansing that's going on is started, I think, with this ethnic division that Ethiopia has been under. It has been going on for nearly 30 years now. In the area called, there's an area called where people that are called Amharas live. We are told that many of the women have been sterilized, something like 2.5 million, we're told, during that period. It's written, a book has come out on it. Maybe we need to verify it. Then something like 8 million people have been, that we're told, have been killed before. And now, more are even now, a lot of people are being killed in the area called Metekel, Benishangul, Welega, and all this area. At the same time, after the conflict in Tigray, we are hearing that lots and lots of people also are being killed. Now, this is what is going on. I think this is everyone now says who is doing it. All these ethnic factions. What they are saying is, in the constitution, it says that if you are not in a region, for example, in the Oromo region, and if you are Amhara, you are a foreigner. You're seen as a foreigner. Now they are saying it's our time, get out of that land, from our land, from everything. So they start killing each other. So what it means is who is doing it, who is involved in this. A lot of, they say the Oromo militias are doing it, and they say even the regional governments in the areas are also involved in it. So what we don't know, what surprises me, is that the central government, the Prime Minister or the President, all of them, they don't come out strongly and say that is instead of running for election first, they should stabilize and really create peace and rule of law first. Doing that and then election running would be better. But if you start running the election, you still have a constitution that's ethnically divisive. What will you do? You bring all these people back, all these political parties. There are about 103 political parties. Most of them are ethnically divided. And if they come to power, they will continue to create more conflict and we'll have more ethnic cleansing going on in Ethiopia. And the instability will continue. We need to remove it. We need to create peace and stability, rule of law, number one. And I hope the entire world supports this, not interference in Ethiopia, but to support that the peace is number one. And then election comes after the peace is done. I think that would be the best thing. If this postponement is not just technical, logistical, but if it can also be using all these substantial matters around creating peace and stability in the country.
Very well. Thank you so much for your time, Pan-Africanist scholar and academic researcher, Professor Mammo Muchie. A key test of democratic reform will be set for Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed in this matter here, keeping a close eye on developments in Ethiopia as elections have now been set. A date has been set in the next few days. The Ethiopians will be taking to the polls.